All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the pod. It's not been a great week. No, scratch that. It's not been a great tournament for us, for me and you.
Not
Not
really,
even a
no.
week. Not even a week. Just the entire tournament has been, yeah, not good.
Well, I mean, it's very entertaining for some people. I mean, I think even from, I'd rather go out how Croatia went out than how Scotland went out. I think it's fair to say. And then what I'll just say is obviously this is the Croatian footy podcast, but if at some point you do just get like too depressed about talking about Croatia, feel free to just like tag me in for 5 minutes about Scotland and I can just sort of let you recover your cool. We won't start off with it because I don't think it's very fair to the viewers/listeners, but
Yeah. So I could just call in the 5 minutes whenever I want.
yeah.
It's like the Joker card and fucking not like a what's that and fucking Be a Millionaire. I call a friend.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. Yeah. But yeah, let's start. Let's start with the Spain game. So let's go in chronological order quickly. Spain game, we weren't too good. We made some chances. Should have been better. Could have been better. Wasn't our day. Albania, first half. The worst half I've ever seen Croatia play in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And then yeah. I'm looking for words. As I said, this might just be an hour of just nothing. We could just be speechless. And
well, I think, yeah, I mean, we could sort of point out the facts that I think back certain things up, the facts that don't back certain things up.
Yeah.
You know, of the sides that were eliminated, it was only the Czechs had a better expected goals difference than Croatia.
Yeah.
So, on that metric, sort of how much you want to put stock into those sort of metrics, Croatia should not have gone out. And by the way, by saying that, that's non-penalty expected goals difference. That's not including the penalties. You put the penalties on top, and yeah.
Well, we missed them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But then on the same time, I think we spoke about it last time. The performance of Brozovic over the first two games. I think even when we talk about the third game, the game against Italy, he was considerably better from a very, very low starting point.
Yeah, but it's very tough to not be better.
He wasn't back up to 22.
No.
Ultimately.
Not even close. So, that's the problem.
No, but it had a difference in terms of how it freed up Modric and Kovacic to play because they weren't having to do his work for him. And that was one of the things, and obviously I've not read the full thing, but I know Dalić has given an interview today and there's been quite a lot of quotes going about it. He said about Brozovic, actually, well, I knew he wasn't as good, but I didn't think we had anyone else close to as good.
Yeah.
And I just thought Modric and Kovacic could do the work for him. Well, no, they can't because one's 38. Ultimately, we know they've got plenty of stamina. We know they'll run all day, but you can't
still
have them doing that job. So
Dalić is about to be 39. Dalić, please let the man rest.
Yeah, exactly. Don't expect him to just be fully box to box. There's ways to play him, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, we've seen from a pure mental resilience perspective, he's still more than capable at this level, and we saw that against Italy. Don't put them on pens again, but
no, please. When I saw him taking the penalty, I said to my mom, who I was watching the game with, I'm not sure in Luka. And whenever he steps up, I wasn't sure for him in the Nations League and not in the final, in the game against the Netherlands, where he took the late penalty. Didn't even matter that much. I wasn't sure against Brazil and Qatar. I wasn't sure whatever penalty from 2018. After that Denmark penalty and the penalty against Russia, which barely went in. Since 2018, I have never been sure in Luka. And I mean, it was an okay penalty, but it's not good when it gets saved, especially when you get red. It looks much easier.
Exactly. I mean, I think that probably is. It obviously doesn't change anything, but
No.
2 penalties, both saved, but they were both in the corner.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was just terrible penalties or anything like that. They were both very good saves, but it's just the nature of penalties. The binary nature of them is not good and bad. The binary nature of them is they went in, they didn't go in.
Nobody asked you how you scored it. You scored it.
Exactly.
So I mean, first of all, let's start with the starting lineup for the Little game, which was just bad. It was just bad.
Yeah.
Guardiola was back at left back. Guardiola in this tournament, I think we all have to be real and just say he wasn't at the level we expected him.
He was. I mean, it's quite difficult when he's being shifted out. He wasn't at the level of Albania, it's fair to say. He was fine against Spain, as most players were. And he was probably fine against Italy and no more. What helped against Italy was that Croatia came in and had a decent game.
He had a decent game.
Unlike against Spain. The issues were further up the pitch. And I know he's one player who, I think when we talk about pre-tournament, we called as we'd like to see him in the Albania game because of pace was Pasalic, and he was absolutely anonymous.
Yeah. So Kramaric started a striker, which is just bonkers to me because Kramaric hasn't been a lone striker since he was born. I mean, Mario Pasalic was shifted to left wing. Sucic was brought in on right wing. And I think Dalić just saw what they did against Albania. And he was like, those two play good. Let me just put them in the starting lineup. Let's not put Sucic in the 10 role, drop Brozovic, put Pasalic on the right, put Kramaric on the left if Perisic can start. And then, I mean, it wasn't... We had no chance in the first half except for when Sucic decided to have a go in, the 4th minute, and that almost went in. So we didn't create anything. But then again, Dalić did say our main goal was to not concede in a must-win game.
Yeah, which, I mean, nearly managed it, to be fair. But,
almost.
4 shots all game, all on target, to be fair.
Yeah.
But, obviously,
one of which is a penalty,
including one from the spot. So, it's quite a large proportion of that, and Italy obviously did have the lion's share of the chances in terms of some of a couple of the saves that the Vakovic pulled off were great,
especially that
about the goal.
Yeah, especially about that Bastoni header in the 20th, 30th minute. That was just If we concede that, I would rather go out like that, just concede, and then it's 1-0 all game. We just can't score. I would rather take that than this. I would rather lose. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's sort of, if you look at it, really, of the 3 games, the only one in which Croatia really did anything wrong was the Albania game.
Yeah.
Conceded early against Spain, and there were it was a soft goal to concede for Morata, but dominated possession, dominated XG, were able to really take the game to Spain better than anyone has in this tournament so far, including Italy. Obviously, the Albania game was messy.
I mean, but it's a mixed squad too, so
yeah. And then against Italy, again, they didn't do anything wrong. Like you say, if Dalić sets up to not concede, that's fine. You didn't concede for 97 minutes, yeah. And so that's a pretty effective game plan. The way I look at it, it's just a case that people get tired and sometimes you get caught, and that's football, and it's weird.
Yeah, and you get caught both times in the last minute in the Albania game and the Italy game. I don't think we were bad. I think Dalić did make mistakes, but in the end we were okay. If we don't concede against Albania in the last minute, if our defense actually does its job. No, but we're predicting the game against Switzerland tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it being an issue in switching on at the start of a game and an issue with not switching off at the end of a game. I mean, I know it goes without saying. We know the records. It was the latest equaliser in normal time ever against Albania. Then it was the same against Italy. And Luka Jovic held it for 4 days in the middle, to be fair. But we don't talk about that. That destroys the narrative. It was it was the if you don't kill the game kills you, which I stole from Daniel Tilloch of Talking Tactics. But
if Slovenia won that game against Serbia, would they have been top of the group?
No,
I
don't think so. It would be down to Milorad Novakovic getting a yellow card on the bench again, probably. It'd be
it probably it would have been because it would be the same amount of goals scored and same amount of goals conceded. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Because I thought maybe they. Anyways, let's focus on the main things. The ref. Okay, how do you see the ref? Obviously, Croats had a bit of bias.
I've certainly seen worse refereeing performances.
This
tournament. The following, I watched Denmark Serbia the following day, and I was watching that like, this ref isn't calling this down the middle.
Yeah.
I called it for Serbia, funnily enough, and then obviously the Argentinian referee. Actually, he got pretty much everything right in the Scotland game, even the penalty, whatever people might say. In this game, it was a bit card happy. Silly things like Ivanisević's booking, but at the same time, you've got to show a bit more sense as a player when you've just come on to not kick the ball away straight away, because you're just asking for that opportunity. And at the end of the day, if you're playing the role of Ivanisević was going to be playing in the centre of the midfield, you're taking away the opportunity for you to take someone down 10, 15 minutes later for it to get a tactical yellow that actually counts for something. So it was a bit card happy, a bit naive on behalf of some of the players. I think it's fair to say. But it wasn't a bad refereeing performance, even though he's not going to be refereeing again at the Euros.
Yeah, he wasn't great, but I've seen worse, especially at big tournaments. I watched the HNL, for God's sake. I know what a bad refereeing performance looks like.
We need the VAR recordings. That's what we need.
We need the VAR recordings just to prove. But the 8 minutes, what do you have to say about the 8 minutes?
The 8 minutes was fine. It was.
I expected in around 6.
I saw the SN breakdown of actually what the minutes were, and I think it was the total stoppages was about 8 minutes 30 in terms of actually during the second half. So it actually worked out around about the problem that it had was that it's coming directly, the next set of games after, you have Hungarian players holding blankets around Varga. And I think because of the severity of that particular stoppage, what kind of got obscured was that they actually got Varga sorted pretty quickly. That was
it was in 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. I think it was 6 minutes total. But when people are just looking at the event, people are like, we got 8 minutes and you've got only 10 minutes and someone nearly died. How's that work? You're looking at you're not comparing apples and apples. It's thing you've just got to look ultimately at the time of the stoppages, and generally that was correct, annoyingly for Croatia.
Annoyingly, yeah. But I mean, as soon as that goal went in, somebody should have made a tackle. There's a bit of commentary from Croatia Brazil in 2014. Our commentator Drago Čosić just said somebody has to foul. I'm seeing it from my cabin, from the commentator's cabin, that somebody should foul him. How do we not see it? So I was doing the same as soon as Calafiori was just dancing around dancing into our box almost, and then passing it out to Zakagni. Šutalo very bad, and that he steps out and just gives that passing option wide open.
Yeah, I mean, he's got what 2 players around him when he picks up that ball and
Yeah.
just trots away from them. Now you can say, okay, they're tired,
Nobody even.
whatever. Just if you've got to take a yellow, if you've got to take a red, in that situation, take
In
it.
that moment, you take it.
Yeah. Like you say, Sutalo comes out and opens up a different passing lane than the one that's open, but it forces Stanisic to stay narrow, and
Yeah.
you know, the finish is exquisite.
No, it's brilliant.
That's the thing.
I've seen it once. I've seen it once, so it's brilliant.
Yeah, seen it once, no more. We just turn the replays
No, I've seen pictures of it on Twitter. As soon as I see a video that's the goal that I recognize as the goal, I'm just scroll. Nope.
Yeah, it is like Italy trying it 2006 in the semi against Germany. I think it was Grosso. That sort of move, similar position, similar angle.
It's a wonderful finish. Sadly.
Yeah. I mean,
I hate to give it credit.
Yeah, I mean, compared to some of the bad goals that Croatia conceded, particularly against Albania, of course,
and Spain,
yeah. You know, it's you can't really do much about that.
Yeah.
Even if you marked, you know, it's a wonderful finish. But I did think one of the things that I saw today that was interesting, just with you having mentioned the Albania game, was about I'm on a scouting Discord full of analysts, and someone had put the progressive run data graphic on there, and of the top 10 players in the Euros so far, Lamal, Nico Williams, and Hoxha. So you're talking about 3 players who played against Croatia.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm looking at that as from an analytics perspective, I'm calling that a pattern that I'd like to put players on and set my team up against to try and exploit.
Yeah. True. What else is there to comment? I mean, let's go for the players. Livakovic was very good. If it wasn't for Livakovic, we would have been out way earlier. We wouldn't even be in the contention in the game against Italy.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like I say, that Bastoni save, it made up for not getting down very quickly for the first Albania goal.
Yeah, it made up. Then Stanisic, he was okay from what I remember.
Yeah, he was weaker than in the Spain game. He wasn't as advanced. He was out on his feet by the end of it. I think it's fair to say. And
I also love Stanisic goes down for a cramp. Not even 30 seconds later, makes a full sprint down the line.
Yeah.
And that's also the only time we try to waste time. Which, like, come on, boys, do it more. You know, we're kind of.
Yeah, and I think maybe at that point, can't quite remember whether that was in normal time or extra time, but maybe at that point, I think it should have been Juranovic coming on for him rather than Juranovic coming on ahead of him.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways. Sutalo, I mean, that mistake in the last minute is really getting me on. to say he was bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's not had a great tournament, but
yeah,
no one defensively has had a great tournament. He didn't have a bad game. I think it's fair to say. Yeah, he's had bad moments. He was the worst of the two. Yeah, he's had bad moments. Pogačić was better than him on this night.
Yeah, Pogačić very good. More than I expected. Way more.
Yeah,
I mean, what else? I'm trying to remember something he did. He was just solid in the defense. He had a few blocks.
Yeah, it was just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
a lot of the time, and
that's what you need.
Yeah, there wasn't the cases like we saw against Albania where you had players just being absolutely free.
Yeah,
it seemed to work, and I think that was the thing they said after the Portugal game. You know, Schuttler had said, you know, actually, I really like. I've never played alongside Pogačić before, but we seem to just kind of have a bit of a psychic connection, and you could tell because they just knew where each other were.
Yeah. Guardiola, and now this is where I do not remember anything about a player.
No,
I really don't remember anything from Guardiola, and that's the problem when you force him out wide. He really has no impact, especially in the front when he goes up. He doesn't have the ability to cross the ball, or because I mean he doesn't go wide, he goes more into the central, but that's already packed. So
yeah,
it's
he made a couple of runs, but nothing really that special. He didn't cross at all.
obviously, I mean,
Which, when you have Dalić in front of him not having a great game, well, actually, then you're just completely not in trouble along that on that flank.
yeah,
But his general game was okay, but it was just okay. I think what
meh.
you want to see from him is obviously he is a better player than who I'm about to mention. Like you see with Strenja Pavlovic, is when he gets the ball, sometimes you just see this giant giraffe man running full tilt at you, and it's really difficult to stop because
Yeah,
even though he doesn't have a final ball, he just creates worry, and that's what
yeah,
Guardiola should be doing, just pelting it forward every now and then and just worrying people because it's hard to defend against. It's hard to you can't physically run up against him and drop it long and try and nick the ball because he's too big and too strong for you to do
yeah,
that. And you can't necessarily take him down because you might get a yellow, give away a set piece in an important position. He's got to, if he's going to play left back going forward for Croatia, he has to add that sort of versatility to his game and move away from what he's been trained by Pep to do, which is like,
yeah,
just move into midfield. That's kind of what we want you to do. We want you to just pass the ball short around, play some tiddly stuff,
yeah.
whatever. It's a different game. He's got to be more aggressive.
Yeah. Sosa obviously has absolutely disappeared from the Croatian national team. I don't know what he's done to Dalić. He's done something, definitely, because he just hasn't appeared a lot. He started the game against Armenia, maybe even Latvia in that national break. But, I mean, I still would have rather seen Šutalo, Guardiola, Sosa, and Budimir in attack. That has to be, if Sosa is going to start, you need Budimir on the pitch.
I think it might be that maybe, when you talk about picking between squad, and I do not think this person should have been called up, but Barisic, in terms of he just likes sprinting forward a bit and putting deep crosses in.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be playing Budimir on the regular, then that's the sort of thing you actually need to be doing rather than Sosa, who probably prefers to run down the touchline a bit more, try and get into a more effective crossing position. Barisic shouldn't be because he's been not very good. But
he hasn't played.
He hasn't played for a good reason. But that's the sort of skill set I think you're looking for if you're playing Budimir up front, rather than what Sosa has. But the problem is you don't have now two players in that left back position. But you managed to do perfectly well when in 2018 when it was
Strinch. Yeah,
and neither of them are as good as Sosa.
No, and that's why I'm keep like just put Sosa on it. Like we had verse left backs. Left back has never been our position. We never had a good left back. So just put a natural left back.
We can lend you like 4.
Anyways, Brozovic, we already mentioned him. I don't think we can add much.
Yeah, he's back to closer to where he should be. I mean, I think if we're probably talking about Brozovic in terms of what you do after the tournament now with him, rather than I think if we sort of see Italy as, maybe Dalić went to him and said, "This is your last chance. You've got to perform." He did enough in that game to earn himself the first week of the Nations League. It's fair to say. But I wouldn't give him much beyond that if he's not able to reach that standard he showed against Italy regularly. If he puts in 2 more performances as he did against Albania, where he did nothing, then see ya. At that point, you need to be like, right, okay, we're going to try Jakic. We're going to try Misa, whoever. We're going to just do something different now. Enjoy your beer money in Saudi Arabia. But we're not coming out of it saying, "No, you're done."
No.
That's
That's a
about as
positive.
much
At
as he
least.
could have achieved from that last game.
Yeah. Modric, I mean, just brilliant in this game.
Brilliant on the field, memeable off it.
Listen, who's gonna be happy? Who's gonna be happy receiving a man of the match after that?
Well, that and also is like literally the shot 5 seconds before the goal where he's just like,
oh yeah, that.
Yeah, just man.
Yeah.
I think everyone probably watching was with him in how.
Yeah, no, I was. Trust me, I was almost doing the same. I was just biting my fingers. I don't even remember. Probably my fingers. Kovacic. I mean,
fine. Not as I think it's probably of the 3 games, probably his most anonymous.
Yeah, he was better in the first
Albania.
two.
Yeah, he was.
But I think
Albania,
I think he's the only player that has played all 3 games, been at least fine. I think he's our best performer in these 3 games. Sucic, brilliant. We should have seen him more.
Yeah, I don't think of the players to have gone, there's only probably him who's come out of this with his reputation enhanced.
Yeah.
Him and Budimir, I should say, but Budimir is probably a slightly different prospect because of his age, really.
You know, he's a youngster of 32.
Yeah. For Sucic, he's got himself probably a starting lineup for the Nations League.
Yeah,
and that's
I mean,
as a fringe player,
he should be starting anyways. Not even considering that he played well, he should be starting anyways, just because, Modric is going to be 39 when the Nations League comes around. So we need to at least start some youngsters, whatever. Like just start a youngster, just put in some youth. Mario Pasalic. I mean, I do not know if Mario Pasalic ever played a left wing.
Good question. He won't again.
Yeah, no, I hope not.
I think that's probably what you can say about his performance, really.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything when I saw the lineup. I wasn't expecting anything when I saw him. Actually, not when I saw the lineup. When I saw the match start, I thought Pasalic was going to be on the right, Sucic was going to be on the left, but Pasalic was the one out of position, and it showed. It really showed.
Yeah, it did not. It just didn't work. Fair enough if you're wanting to try something. I understand it, but no. I mean, I'm just looking. The last time we had him down as playing left wing was 50 minutes against Wales.
Is that the first game or the second game?
When Croatia lost.
Forget that game didn't. I barely remember that game. I just remember, was it Daniel James who scored against us?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not somewhere he plays regularly. No. Before that, really, for getting any major minutes regularly.
Oh.
I know. I don't know what happened there. It's just sick in my face. You're talking 2022.
Yeah.
And you can't expect him to perform effectively.
No, he hasn't played there. When he's played there, he's only played there because he was forced to, because we needed goals. And I just put him on. Big man, just jump in the box, just try to get a goal. Which he did in that Wales game, to be fair, but still. Anyways, Kramaric, I mean, playing a striker, he was just dropping down, so not really a striker anyways.
He's had a very Kramaric tournament, I think it's fair to say.
I expected way more.
He's done one thing that was very good in terms of scoring, but then you just kind of like, you should be better for the rest of it. And I mean, that's unfortunately for him, it's the story of his Croatia career.
That's the problem, because he can plays the best.
He's always going to be a square peg fitting into a round hole, and as a result, you're never going to get the best of him. And you see his qualities every now and then, but you don't see it regularly. I think I'd be interested to see what he wants to do now in terms of his international future. because I think of number one starter, you probably think who is replaceable. He's probably it.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we talk about Dalić? Anyways, I think
We didn't mention Budimir, but Budimir has another good game. And yeah, again, he's had a performance which has enhanced his credentials, but again, he's 32.
I mean, he should have started anyways. I don't know why Dalić didn't start him. That's
because
just
he
confusing.
hadn't scored. I think that's the thing, isn't it? What was it, 3 in 19 before this tournament, something like that.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, he showed something. He created 2 chances against Albania. I was like, okay, yeah, he's nailed on now. Nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's again, it's a bit of a difficult one with him, but he's shown his quality in that specific formation.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dalić.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Dalić is staying the manager. Obviously, Dalić has never been the tactical mastermind. He has never innovated something new. When he tries something new, it's either failed or semi-worked out. Not really worked out, like semi.
I mean, in this tournament specifically, I think the changes he made, he was talking mid-game against Albania, worked. Mid-game against Italy, worked. And in terms of the initial,
but I think that's mostly
Spain,
that's because the first starting lineup was just not good. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, obviously that didn't work, so this is probably gonna work, and it worked.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to assess it from a coach's perspective, just because, for the reasons that we indicated at the very start. If you look at it on the stats, there's no way Croatia should be going on.
I don't think this is for Dalić to blame. I think it's to blame both the players and Dalić. Dalić for setting up the games just off the get-go poorly, and the players for falling apart in the last minutes against Albania and against Italy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think in terms of him staying on another 2 years, he's not done anything to say he doesn't deserve that opportunity.
I mean, if he lost all 3 games and obviously got obliterated, then it's like, oh yeah, Croatia is washed. But we score we don't concede any one of those 2 goals. Croatia's in the knockouts. Nobody's talking about Dalić again. We made it to the knockouts. That's it.
Exactly. And with the record he's got at World Cups, you can't deny him the chance. But again, he's probably got the Nations League to prove himself again, or at least maybe not to prove himself, but to prove that he can bring through the next generation.
Yeah,
these 2 years are an audition for the next 4.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. It's up to him as to how long he wants to stay on, or as to whether, because at the end of the day, if there's any point where he wants to just turn around and say, do you know what, actually I fancy going and managing in Saudi Arabia, give us a lot of money, he'll have people who will offer him that money, because he had it from China after 2018, and I'm sure he's had the offers from the Middle East before. He's definitely got options. You look at the Nations League, and it's a perfect ground to evolve this side. You've got one good side in it in Portugal. Poland were not up to much. Scotland, we're not getting to that yet. We're not at that yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, you're going to say there's going to be player rotation after this, and obviously there will be. There will be players who just Vida.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Nations League. I think there's always going to be a rotation in the Nations League.
But I just mean in terms of players who will definitely be going. Vida will not be picked again. I think that's very fair.
Yeah, I think that's done. I think this was his last tournament, probably. Maybe he gets a game just for the farewell. That's it.
Perisic done. I think
probably
that's fair to say as well. Modric, up to you really as to what he wants to do. He can, if he wants to stay on, he stays on. If he wants to finish, he finishes. No one's ever going to turn around and say, no, we don't want you as part of the squad from a quality perspective or from a character perspective
Yeah.
as well. Brozovic, as we sort of indicated earlier, he's got the Nations League to prove himself. And your real probably change area is what goes on up front. I mentioned pretty much age-wise, Budimir age-wise, Bruno being Bruno. And obviously he's going to be moving back to Italy, it seems. So
I see. I saw Bologna is interested.
Yeah,
for now, so he may return to Bologna.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Probably not well, but this is I think probably when we're talking about Nations League sides already, we'll be talking about seeing strikers under 25 called up.
I hope so.
Beljo, Matanovic, Ljubic.
I think Matanovic is probably next in line. I think we maybe see Sigur, as a replacement to Brozovic, maybe, or even Petar Sucic. Maybe he can also get a call up. But what I wanted to say about Dalić is if I don't think, especially after this kind of performance where it's like, it's okay, we were unlucky, we just didn't have everything that could go wrong went wrong for us. Let's be real. It happens. It's football. You could see it. Sometimes you score in the last minute. Sometimes you win on penalties. Sometimes you don't. But Dalić, I mean, he deserves to go if he wants. If he's like, yeah, this is it. Thank you for everything. I'm just gonna go on. Probably go back to Saudi and make some money. I mean, the problem with me is Dalić has never had. We've never seen a good Croatia under him, but we win. Most importantly, we win. Most of the time, we don't win in 90 minutes. We win after 90, which is the problem, which is the main problem of Dalić. But if it gets you results, you don't matter how you get it. You get results. You get 2 World Cup medals and you get a Nations League final.
And I mean, as we saw with Belgium in 2022, at the end of the time, sometimes it doesn't have to be logical. It's just when fate turns and says, now's your time to get screwed, then it's just going to do it. And it's ruthless about it. There's no sentimentality or anything like that whatsoever. And it's not a reflection on Dalić that this happened, much as it probably wasn't really a reflection on Roberto Martinez when Lukaku just decided to turn into a complete donkey against Croatia in Qatar. These things sometimes happen. They're not easily explainable. They're not necessarily anyone's fault. And you've just got to work through it. Now you work through it either by saying, okay, that's that, and it's time for a change, or you take a beat and you say, okay, actually, on the whole dossier of evidence that's in front of us in terms of how we performed at this particular tournament, you deserve this to go forward. And that's really where Dalić is. I think if someone wanted to make a change, fine. Obviously, you're not going to at this point, but what better is out there? Let's be honest.
I mean, I do think the manager pool for Croatia right now for the national team is probably the best it's been. You have Juric, you have maybe Terzic, you have who else is there?
But also, if you're following the act of someone who's been to the World Cup semi-finals in 2 successive World Cups, obviously third place, second place, then that's a hell of an act to follow.
Yeah.
And even
Dalić has said in an interview that the commentator asked him, this was years ago, maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. The commentator asked him, how do you deal with the pressure? Like, people are calling you out for your poor decisions. Yeah, I'm screwed, but imagine the next guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, there are people who are more progressive, who might be more flexible, who might be this, that, or the other, but at the end of the day, your Wikipedia article isn't going to say, oh, you put a new tactical framework in or anything like that. It's just going to say what you got at a World Cup.
Yeah, it won't say, oh yeah, Croatia played good, but they lost.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't win for artistic merit.
No. There was some. I don't know if he's Serbian, but I don't want to. I don't know. There was some dude that was constantly in my comments after the Italy game. Croatia didn't play good, so they don't deserve. They didn't play beautiful football, so neither did Italy, but Italy deserved it more. As if playing good, attractive football matters to anything.
And,
Like it's appealing to the eye, but if you win, I think that's more important.
and did Croatia really play bad football? I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. Yeah,
You know, the
people call it
Croatia
boring.
Albania. Exactly. Well, Croatia was the Albania game boring? No, it was one of the best games of group stages. Was the Italy game boring? The first half wasn't amazing. The second half was really
Was good.
entertaining. Was the Spain game boring? Not really,
No,
because for the first 45 minutes, it was two sides playing the games they
very
wanted
good
to play
football.
very,
Yeah,
very well. And
except for the goals.
except for the goals. But I want to watch that on a European stage. I want to watch that a hell of a lot more than the crap Pixie put out. And that's, I think the thing is, and obviously we'll get onto it when I moan about Scotland. There are of the sides who have departed this tournament, of the sides who were at this tournament in general, there are 22 sides who added something to this tournament in terms of, be it in terms of the fans, be it in terms of the quality that they showed on the pitch, be it in terms of the football that they played, how they attacked, provided real positive moments. And Croatia are one of those sides.
Yeah.
The two that aren't are Serbia and Scotland. And they aren't. Serbia were not good and did not deserve to get through. And I'm sure if I see a fan in the street, they might hit them for saying that. Who knows? But it's a reality. There were not. I think you sort of mentioned Ukraine would be quite miffed at the start of this episode. Again, Croatia can probably be quite missed by some of the sides that have got through ahead of them. But there should be, and they should be using that as fuel to do better in the Nations League, do better in qualifying. But we've seen them all in qualifying. We knew this was going to come sooner or later.
Yeah,
it's just so happened it's come now.
Yeah. Anyways, you want to go to the comments? Actually, not to the comments, to the questions. We have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Dima 212 asks, what is Croatia's road forward? Generation change, manager change, keep going as before? I hope not keep going as before. Manager change obviously isn't going to happen.
Yeah, and I think for all the reasons we said, manager change probably isn't the thing right now. He's got enough credit in the bank. Like I say, it is going to be a bit of those changing generations. And we're starting to see it with Baturina, but there also needs to be more than just Baturina. But also, we can probably say, well, actually, over the past 12, 18 months, you look at the prime prospects have been pretty unlucky with injury in terms of what's been happening with them. Kashvenda, Luka Stojkovic, those guys could add something.
Krivak also got an ACL injury.
Yeah, so there's guys who we're not saying they would necessarily have been in this squad, but we can say that they would be on the pathway to being in this squad, maybe at the end of this year, maybe in 25. We don't know. That's not really too big a problem. You've got to sort of look at where these pathways are coming for the next 18, 24, 36 months. And they will know, I'm sure Dalić will know who he's identifying there, and we'll probably already be sort of thinking in the back of mind, okay, when am I giving Sigo a run? When am I giving Luka Vuskovic a run? When am I giving Vidovic, Zvonarek, and Šotićek, Makovic? There's so many names that are bubbling under. It's fair to say, and even though the performance of the under-21 side this particular international break was not that great, to put it mildly.
But that's I think more to the poor tactics from the from who's the manager? I always forget, even though I go at him multiple times. Yeah,
got-
his
yeah.
decisions are absolutely baffling every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, we mentioned left back, but really, aside from left back, in most positions, Croatia have someone good
Yeah,
coming through, and you don't have to build them all at once. It's not a case of a complete revolution. It is a case of that probably by the end of this year, we'll have seen 3, maybe 4 players get their first caps, and we'll see Baturino have gotten a few more. And
yeah,
that's probably
and
about
Sucic
all it
probably.
needs. And Sucic as well, of course, yeah.
Yeah. I just hope that Dalić, his quote saying that he will always stick with his old guard, just kind of fades away, just kind of forgets about it, because
Well,
yeah,
I mean, he can stick with his old guard, but he can stick with them on the bench. You know,
exactly.
and I don't just mean as in they can just sit and play 20 minutes. I mean, you know, they can sit on there with Joluka and
Yeah,
be part of the team going forward and bring that experience, and how you sort of knit that experience into the side to have that mentality always as part of it. But yeah, we're at the point now where we need to be moving players through.
yeah, and I think that depends a lot on if Modric stays or goes.
Yeah, because I think if he goes, then everyone will follow.
I mean, I think some players would follow. Maybe Brozovic, maybe Kramaric will probably. If one goes, I think then you see at least 2 players more.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of voluntary right now, we probably will be okay with seeing, let's say, Vida saying that's it. You know, he's got his 100th cap.
I mean, Vida,
he's there for vibe. We know.
Yeah. even though Dalić apologized to him for some reason for not playing him for not giving him some minutes.
He probably
Why?
organized a really good table tennis tournament or something. You know,
like why? You didn't bring him to play minutes, and you're like, well, I apologize to him. He should have played some minutes. No, every game was. Maybe in the Spain game you could have given him some minutes. Albania game was until the end. Italy game was until the end.
Every game was never in the right game state for you to have
play
a thank
Vida.
you.
Yeah.
I think
do it in the Nations League.
Yeah, I mean, when you get for Perisic, I think you should be taking the decision out of Dalic's hands, and that's not a diss on his quality or anything like that. You know, let's have. It's just me trying to remember where
what
if he wants to hang around and announce his retirement after the last Nations League game in Split, so he can have one last appearance in front of home fans. Fine, do that. Otherwise, I would say that's it really. Not because he doesn't have it. I think he just was relatively clear from his approach that the injuries dented his confidence a bit.
I mean, that was always going to be the case. I don't think any person in their right mind thought when he got injured after he actually did his operation, which was September, somewhere around that time, 2023. I don't think anybody thought, oh yeah, Perisic is going to be the same. No. Especially that kind of injury at that age, nobody's going to be the same after that, even if it is Perisic.
Yeah. But I think, like I say, for him, it's time. For Kramaric, it's up to him.
Yeah.
He's on 96 caps. I think if I was him, I'd probably be like, I'm going to wait until
just get the 4 more. Just get the 4 more and then.
Brozovic needs 1 more as well to get to 100. So have a thank you and then see where you go. Budimir is in a bit of a weird situation, just in the respect that yes, he's 32, he's older, but he's also only
he's actually
got into the team.
He's actually now started actually playing good football.
Yeah, which is an odd situation for him to be in, and he might be. In that he's the guy who leads this transition stage, and we won't see. I don't think we'll see Petkovic again, unless I don't know what he has to do, really, because he has his immense qualities. We all know what they are, but he isn't consistent. And when you get bad Bruno, you may as well just not have a player on the pitch.
Yeah, it's a player less.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, we just talked about this. Do you agree on that veterans like Brozovic, Modric, Perisic, and Vida should retire from the national team? We just spoke about that. I'm gonna leave the HNL questions for later. Will we actually make it to the World Cup 2026? I'm scared.
Don't know when to draw.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah, I think I saw someone put up the current pots because it's based on FIFA ranking, so you can
Yeah.
probably make a pretty good guess of who's where. So, I mean, Croatia still will have a very positive chance because of their seeding. I think it will still be in pot one. There's not really any disputing that. The problem that they might have is that there's going to be some difficult sides scattered throughout. Slovenia are pot three, which, you know, on the evidence we're seeing, Georgia will be pot three or pot four, even, you know, again, based on the evidence we're seeing. That's not a nice, not really a very nice draw to get for anyone. So, yeah, it's too early to tell. Once we've got a World Cup draw, then we can.
Yeah. So the date. So the draw is gonna take place in December. The date is not. It's not fully known, but it's December. Thoughts on Nico Sigur and Petar Sucic? I mean, I think we've mentioned them multiple times over the course since restarting the podcast.
Yeah, I think the only thing to mention really as to specifics to Euro 2024 is you shouldn't have taken Vlasic, you should have taken one of them instead. That's about as much as can possibly be said.
Yeah. Or maybe you should have taken Erlich, but I mean, that also makes sense. Maybe Vida. You could have dropped Vida for one of the two.
Well, this is the thing. We're sort of saying there's 26 spots and yeah.
Not one replacement for Bros.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I think you don't take... I think Vlasic is the one who had to drop out. Not just because he did drop out, but also because he was a doubt in the first place. Don't take injury doubts. Yeah. That's the lesson.
Yeah. Does Dalić have the balls to drop the old guard moving forward? And if he does, do you think they will be happy to accept a role where they are not guaranteed to start, but will be there for the vibes and leadership like Vida was in this tournament?
I mean, and who really fits into that category? There's Perisic and Modric. Perisic, you know, we're saying, you know, actually probably he won't be called up again. And Modric, you're not gonna drop Modric. Whether you start him or not is another question. You know, you sort of have that Tadić thing. But unlike Tadić during this tournament, I don't think Modric is going to go to the media afterwards and whine.
Yeah. That absolutely still rattles my brain that you go out and say, I'm the best player of this squad.
And then the manager gives in and picks you to start the next game.
So maybe it works.
Well, I suppose you both out, so yes. It worked the exact same amount.
But does Dalić have the balls to drop? I don't know. I hope he does. I don't, not fully drop, but experiment with youngsters. Not experiment, but start the youngsters. Just, you know, just start them. Just give them a game or give them 2 games in the Nations League, both against Scotland, because you know those are already.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the authority to. I think the thing is, you know, like any manager, if you were dropping the biggest name in the squad, then you're putting an extra layer of pressure upon yourself to get a result. You know, it's like Portugal dropping Ronaldo, isn't it? You know, if they drop Ronaldo for the round of 16 game against Slovenia and they don't win, then, you know, Roberto Martinez may as well just jump out the plane, parachute over Spain and go home rather than going back to Portugal. Yeah. Because that will be the reaction of them. It'd be the same, you know, if you drop Modric and then you get bad results. But at some point it's got to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen. Not every youngster is gonna perform immediately. They're gonna have a bad game. Modric has had bad games, but
yeah, and the problem is, and we've seen this not just the last qualifying campaign, but the past few qualifying campaigns, Croatia have always had trouble doing 2 games in a week.
Yeah.
and you always do get one iffy performance in there. So what I would maybe be thinking if I was Dalić is the first game of the break, it's the old guard, which is handy, in this Nations League campaign because your first game is against Portugal, and then it's away to Portugal and then home to Poland. Well, yeah, let's have Modric and whoever in that particular game, and then in the home game against Poland, then we're rotating and saying, okay, you've had 90 minutes. We'll have you on the bench. You can play 30 if need be, but this is Badura's game.
Yeah. I think that does it for the Croatia part. I think we can move to the HNL part, which today very big news have come out in the last few days, and I'm most shocked that Matej Markovic has left Rudeš. He signed a contract extension in January, and I was like, okay, goddamn, he's loyal. And then nope, Levski Sofia calls him, and he's like, yep.
Fair enough. I mean, if you're the one good player in the squad, you may as well get that bag.
Yeah. Hopefully Rudeš got some money. I think that's the main part of that deal, because they need it.
Yeah.
But seriously, on a serious note, Edin Dzeko, Ivan Rakitic, Dzeko getting very close to joining Hajduk. It's now just between the clubs to agree on the transfer, and because Dzeko has already agreed terms with Hajduk, so 2-year contract, which will mean that he's gonna play at 40 years, which good for him.
But he's not any worse, is he?
No, I mean he scored 20 plus goals for Fenerbahce last season.
Yeah. And
that's a much better league than the HNL. Yeah.
If any striker can be playing at 40, it will be Dzeko. And on top of that, he never really missed any time with injuries.
No,
he's a remarkably durable player.
Yeah, which is surprising due to his build.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, I think in terms of the character of the man as well, there's very few who are as mentally strong as he is. Sort of to have been the one guy who has managed to stay with the Bosnian national side throughout all the absolute BS it's gone through. You need to have some mental fortitude to endure that. Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I never hear a bad word about him.
No. Every club he's been at absolutely loves him.
Yeah, I don't think really there was City who weren't that about him. But let's see.
I mean, if Dzeko wasn't at City, they wouldn't have won the title in 2012, was it?
Yeah, exactly. So
because he scored that goal.
Yeah. So we'll see. With that, like you say, it seems very likely, and obviously, let's see Rakitic as well. I think it's not a strategy expected Hajduk to pursue after how it went for doing a very similar strategy over the past 6 months.
I think I do. I mean, it's kind of different because both players have avoided injuries. Both players are in good shape. Dzeko obviously very good at 38. Rakitic, I mean, it's a midfielder position, and it's Rakitic. Only problem is he's probably gonna need some more time to get up to speed because Saudi. If I don't watch the Saudi league, I don't know how he's been for. I don't even know who he's playing for.
Al Shabab, isn't it?
Yeah, Al Shabab. Yeah,
but I mean, for him, he's not a big. And also, he's never really necessarily been the most physical player in the first place. Yeah. So, he's a guy you just want to be there, just making passes and having someone alongside him to do his running and his dirty work for him, which obviously won't be Pukstas because he will go at some point.
Sold. Yeah, Sakiti too will probably get sold for Hajduk.
Yeah, so I think you've seen the links to Elsnik. That would be a very good for me, and because of some of the weird things that are going around Elsnik's contract, it's probably also the most sensible move for Olympia as well. So that's potentially a positive. I mean, if having as part of your front lineup is Dzeko, Perisic, Rakitic, Elsnik. I mean, wow, that's a really good lineup. There will still be little imperfections here and there that have got to be changed around, and obviously Levia as well.
Yeah, Levi is probably going to be. So if they play off, I think if Dzeko does come in, you're playing a 4-2-3-1 with Dzeko up front and Levi behind him.
Yeah. So really, all you're talking about then is one as a right-sided player.
Yeah.
To come in. See, there's players who've got to be shifted for that. I mean, I've seen Benro, who is apparently able to go for free.
Yeah, Dayako too.
Seems, yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised about Benro just because, I think, as you know, I've always rated him. But it's the building aside again that can go for the title. Again, it's just got to. Can it go better? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I know, and I'm also curious about the left back position because I don't think Diallo he'll probably just be a backup if he doesn't leave. He might leave. It depends also on how Melniak does coming back from injury. Right side, I think our right back position is very good. Mufi and Sigur. Sigur can obviously be moved into midfield too, so
that will be a thing about just the age profile of the squad in that regard. But I mean that's Rino Gattuso's problem.
Yeah, but the problem before with older player was, for example, Ojija, absolutely not up to the level. After September? After September, he just wasn't at the level anytime he stepped onto that pitch.
No.
And now with the Gattuso is absolutely. I mean, he's having those players run their balls off,
which I believe they loved under Lecco.
Yeah, but it seems that they're like, okay, yeah, we have to do this because we're being paid, and
yes,
this is our
job.
It's your
job. I mean, obviously they're not the only side to have been making moves. I think it's important. I mean, the names are obviously the big thing about that, but obviously we're seeing Dinamo making moves in terms of
Dinamo is signing Piazza. I think
Piazza. Yeah,
I've seen some people today say that he was recording the video to be announced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen him saying Sotacek as well will be joining.
Sotacek will also be moving to Dinamo.
And there's a couple of others of names who've just escaped me at the moment who they've been linked with. And
Maricic will join Rijeka. That's also another. Osijek announced 4 players.
Everyone.
Yeah. Those deals were already done. Like some were done weeks ago. Some Soldo was done even before the end of the season.
Yeah.
For example, I didn't know that they signed. I don't know how you pronounce. Yeah, Ruquenio Keval. I don't know how you pronounce it. I didn't know they signed him. I knew about Pedro Lima, obviously from Norwich, and I knew about Luka Jelenic coming from Varaždin, which is also just a move in the HNL.
Yeah, I mean, certainly they've done the most interesting business so far. I think it's fair to say. But obviously, I think for Osijek, the question is always going to be about the players who are going out from there rather than necessarily the players who are coming in.
There's no news about Mieres yet, which I have seen.
Yeah, which with Dinamo buying everyone is a surprise. And like you say, for Rijeka, I mean, it makes sense for them to be bringing in a centre-back. And have they brought in a keeper? I feel like I've seen them.
Ivan Posavec.
Yes.
Josip Posavec, not Ivan, sorry.
Posavec, yeah.
I think that's a great signing because he can make the illusion that the opposing team scored the goal from halfway, and then you can just go up the pitch and score a goal.
And they're fast enough to counter like that, so they're sorted.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense for them to bolster the defense, I think, because there wasn't really much else that they had to do.
And I think Galicic is being rumored to leave multiple times. He was connected with Dinamo also multiple times.
Yeah. And Paslic has had an offer, but we don't know from who.
Yeah, so Paslic has had an offer today. And I think Mišković went on to a local radio station in Rijeka and has said, yeah, he's not picking up his phone.
Yeah, that was it.
He's not answering his phone. Like, Marco, come on.
Yeah, come on, we want to tell you.
Marco, it's good money. Like, come on. We need the money. But yeah, he's not answering the phone, which, I mean, I wonder what he's doing.
I've been probably having a rest after the past. Well, he's had a rest, hasn't he?
I was gonna say having a rest from a rest. I mean, I don't think he has any Montenegrin roots that he needs to do that. But yeah,
Which I think who else have seen? But Lebanita moving to Sabah, so
yeah,
far
I'm very
fewer
surprised.
yellow cards.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's left. I thought Slaven would at least try to keep him because I think he was one of their best performers this season.
Yeah, I mean they had a good, very competitive midfield.
Yeah,
It's fair to say,
which
but,
is
I mean,
now absolutely fallen apart.
yeah, but it's having, you know, they will pick up some randoms, I'm sure, and
Yeah,
the others are the guys moving to Astana, which was
Bartolets and Kalaitsa, yeah, both from
yes,
Lokomotiva.
and they brought someone in, and I've forgotten because Wikipedia hasn't updated who it was yet. But
Who
they have
have
brought
they
someone in.
brought? Who have they brought? Oh, Filip Čujic from Hajduk.
Yes,
Yeah, I think that's just a standard Lokomotiva move. Oh, he's a free agent. Just get him in.
yeah,
Tall
I mean,
striker.
it makes sense, you know, particularly because he's swapping around Chop, you know, in terms of
Yeah.
age profiles and things like that, and you know, making the very fair assumption that Duya Chop is still washed, in spite of the evidence of the past few months.
Despite actually being very good.
Yes, despite actually being very good for and very surprisingly good. Yeah, there's been a lot of moves, and we're waiting for. We've not had fixtures yet, have we?
No, we do. We do. We have fixtures. Yeah, I think they released I think before the tournament. So the first round is Dinamo Istra, Gorica Varaždin, Hajduk Slaven, Rijeka Lokomotiva, and Osijek Šibenik.
Oh, I really wasn't paying attention then.
Yeah. I mean,
we Conference League draws
still have
everything, but
yeah, we still have a month. We still have a month until the HNL gets, close. We obviously won't have a Super Cup, so everybody starts their season with Europe.
Yeah.
Anyways, shall we get to the Q&A because we have loads of HNL questions?
Oh, go on.
Why will Osijek win the title? Obviously, coming from Baki, absolutely big Osijek fan. So,
well,
Mira stays.
Yeah, Mira stays. Lovric goes.
Oh yeah, about Lovric. He's been linked with Aberdeen, Gorica, and who else?
Istra and Sarajevo. Sarajevo definitely isn't happening. I know that for certain.
No, I know. I don't think he's gonna go to Sarajevo. I don't think he wants that. I don't want that for him.
Yeah, no, I don't think he would want to go back to Zekic somehow. No. I mean, for the others, we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm keeping a dignified silence on this one because I know more than I should.
Fair enough. Anyways, second question. Let me find it. Okay, but how many points will Hajduk finish in front of Dinamo?
-10. Sorry. I mean,
listen.
I think it's
give us some hope.
Okay, -1.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't think this.
I'll take it.
We said it in terms of our sort of season ending one. You know, I don't think there's really anyone getting at Dinamo this season, probably.
It's going to be very tough.
It's going to be very tough in terms of how they ended the season. They're getting better. You know, even if, so not if, when Petkovic goes, and we know Vidovic obviously isn't coming back. You know, there are a few personnel changes there, but there's no smoking gun there for you to say that Dinamo are going to be appreciably worse than last season. So if anyone's going to catch them, they've got to get a lot better.
Yeah. What was I going to say about Hajduk? Yeah, the first game is in under a month against Torshavn. How do you pronounce that? That game. I wanted to talk about Perisic. That's how I connected to. Germaniak yesterday released absolutely false news that Perisic was going to come back on the 12th of August, but he's coming back on the 12th of July.
Yeah.
Hajduk is giving him 2 weeks more rest after the tournament, and I mean, I think he needs it, especially after recovering from that kind of injury and immediately going back onto the pitch as soon as possible.
Yeah, and as someone who relies on Izakan Tisucic as being like Croatian Fabrizio Romano, seeing that sort of mistake really knocks me. But yeah, I suppose it's an easy mistake to make, isn't it? You just think it's the 8th.
I mean, yeah, you read it wrong, but you're really wrong. But it's a big mistake because I saw that, I'm like, oh god, like what are we doing?
I mean, fortunately, they will not need him to beat Torshavn.
Yeah,
no offense to the Ferries.
Hopefully, listen,
hopefully.
We've seen lost the Entobel.
Yeah, you have trouble on islands and the center of Asia.
Well, as soon as you mentioned, actually, we didn't have a problem on the islands against Zira. We had a problem at Podyud against Zira.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, we had a very big problem that day. Okay, somebody just sent in a question for will Dalić try to integrate Luka Vušković into the side for the next World Cup? I hope so. I think he can at least give him a chance.
I mean, he's 19 for the next World Cup, so it's still very young.
Listen, where's he moving? He moved to.
He was still Poland, isn't it?
No. He went to Belgium. I think he joined Frigan in Westerlo.
Yeah,
however you
that
pronounce
rings well, yes.
Yeah, I think he joined Frigan at Westerlo. Yeah. I think that does it for the questions. Yeah. I'm skipping over these.
I don't think there's any other European stuff to mention at this point, other than we know vaguely who Hajduk have in Torshavn. And you've had the second qualifier. Yeah, we had Rijeka will face the winner of Hungary's Pax and Romania's Corvinal Hunedoara. Sorry if you're
very fun. I know that's a second tier side, Romania. They won the cup. They won the cup.
Yeah. And they've got a crow on their badge by the looks of it. So
yeah,
automatically they're quite a cool club.
They were almost they had very big questions because their stadium is obviously not up to UEFA standards. And it was up to the question, will some Romanian club give them their stadium? Which thankfully happened, because that's very good. That's a great story. A second tier side winning the cup and going into Europe.
Well, there's that, and I mean, there's two in the Europa League this season. Obviously, Corvinal 0-1, but Wisła Krakow as well, who've got Kosovo's Klappy in the first qualifying round. And that's another interesting one from a second tier point of view. And I did all the, as you might have seen, for David Parks's coefficient reviews / previews. I think I did about 8 countries for him. So it's one of those where I've kind of just got the Conference League qualifying rounds engraved in my head now.
Yeah.
So I mean, we think Rijeka should do fairly well against whoever they get there. I think even for Pax, the cup winners, they're not one of the better sides, and they got absolutely. I mean, they've not played in Europe since 2011-12. So that says it all really. And Osijek, a cool Osijek side, as we saw, beat ZTE fairly easy last season, so they should be okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of Osijek,
they
will face the winners
Levadia
Levadia Tallinn.
Yeah.
Or Shy.
That's a very easy draw. So hopefully they don't. I somehow remember. I remember how the name of the squad looks. They lost to from Kazakhstan 2 years ago, but I don't remember how to say it. Kichilzar. Yeah. My God, that was disappointing to see.
I mean, to be quite honest, I'm disappointed with myself that I remember that. That's a pretty bad job. But assuming they get through, both Hajduk and Osijek are seeded in the next round, I think, as we all know who've followed it for long enough, you just can't keep on getting really horrible draws in playoffs forever.
Hopefully.
Lille, Villarreal, and so on and so forth.
I mean, not even the playoff. Osijek last season got Adana Demirspor. Hajduk got PAOK who got to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, so the luck's got to come the way this season.
Hopefully,
and we might see 2, maybe 3.
And especially if Hajduk get the players they're rumored to get, there's really no reason you should have been getting into Europe if you get a favorable draw.
No, I mean, in terms of, like you say, the stature, not just of the players, but also of Gattuso as well.
Yeah.
You think those people who expect to be playing at that level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, another thing I wanted to mention, which is absolutely disgusting, which I saw from Croatian media and just which was getting... I don't know if you saw it. Maybe you did on Twitter. I don't know who started it, but I think some Croatian was probably just mad that we lost to Italy. And he found a picture of the ref. I don't remember. Was it Michele, whatever his name is? Yeah, Michele. He found a picture of him with a dude, both dressed in suits, and he's like, he actually is married to a guy. He's actually gay. So that's a reason why he went against us, because the guy's actually Italian. He actually made up 2 lies. He said that he's gay and that he's married to an Italian guy. Which, like,
I mean, why would that make him even? Why does that even matter? Is it just something like
even if it's true, why? But it's not.
Yeah,
because the dude is not married.
Even if it's true, do you just have to hate Croatia to be gay? Is that what the suggestion from this is? No.
If you're gay, you hate Croatia.
Yeah, is that one of the secret laws of the club? I don't know. I don't believe it is.
No, it's just like, okay, we lost. Let's be homophobic. Let's just put it all into the homophobic tree and just really go at the gays. The gays are the ones that did this.
Yeah.
Even though the picture is just of the two of the ref and whoever the dude is, not even Italian, I think. Probably just 2 refs hanging out at some refereeing party.
This is just reminding me of something just with it talking about party. And I know I'm probably one of the very few people in the world who watch this. But one of my favorite things on YouTube, aside from obviously the Croatia Folk podcast, is it's La Firul Yerbi, which is the magazine program put out by the Moldovan FA, and it is mad. It's the best thing about it. But the reason it brought it to mind was not the last episode. The last episode is very sexist. This episode before, they were at after the June internationals. One of the players had the wedding, and they had Ion Niculescu, who's like the most prominent Moldovan player, as the best man. And just the whole thing is Ion Niculescu is drunk as F.
That's the whole
and thing. You're just like, you've invited the FA to your wedding. You got the FA recording your wedding, and you and a lot of the national team
proceeded to get shit faced.
Yes. I was like, what is the thought process behind this? I would also recommend watching the most recent one. It was at the Regions Cup final in Moldova. It has some of the best goals you will see.
I mean,
this
always the lower tiers, where you least expected, proved to be the most
in
fun.
The Moldovan amateur leagues. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, you want to have that rant before we end the podcast?
Yeah, go on. So, I mean, I've alluded to a couple of things earlier in terms of how Scotland performed in the tournament itself. I think I said there were only 2 sides who brought nothing to it on the pitch, which were Serbia and Scotland. Now, we can have a chat about Serbia's reasons as to why they didn't bring anything. The reason was Dragan Stojkovic. But we all knew that before the tournament. And so everyone went into it kind of pessimistic in the first place. There wasn't really a great following the Olavi in the tournament. I think it's fair to say. And, while it didn't go as badly as Qatar within the camp, it still went pretty badly. And, Pixie was doing his stuff. He was just being an idiot, as per. And, hey, let's get Yogi Love in. Let's see how that goes. Let's throw the next 4 years away. In terms of Scotland, I mean, it's difficult to say, because obviously the Hungary game is in isolation. It was terrible. I think it was worse than the Germany game, which says a lot in terms of that describing it as worse than a game in which we lost 5-1. We made 0.01 xg, and we got an own goal. I mean, McTominay got a goal credited to him in the second game, and that was an own goal.
Somehow.
Let's be honest.
Somehow.
I'm not having that. I mentioned the Greg sausage roll thing on one of the last episodes. I think in total, I think it was Greg's were down to about 91,000. No, not even 9,100 across the country. So that's how bad. Not even a single whole XG.
Yeah,
it was great. We outperformed it. I think the real problem is, I watched. I was listening to the Improving Scottish Football podcast earlier. I had John Walker on, who's an analyst.
Yeah.
And he does quite a lot of podcasts. He does Scots Abroad, and if you ever see anyone crooning over Rhys McCabe, the Airdrie manager, it's almost always him. But he's been putting out a lot of previews for the Euros, and I generally find for an analyst, they're quite accessible and easy to understand. For people who are close to lay people like me and you, really. And one of the key things that was asked of him, is like a little quick fire round, which was, who was to blame for this? Do you think it was Steve Clarke's blame? He went, yes. And I kind of want to differ from that a little bit, because we didn't go into the tournament with expectations. We weren't sat thinking. We obviously had the discussion before the group doing our predictions and how we thought each group would go, and we were both quite happy to say Scotland weren't going to get out of the group.
Yeah,
fine. That it is what it is. The sin that Steve Clarke committed was not that we didn't get out of the groups. It wasn't that we fell short of expectations or anything like that. The sin that he committed is far worse than that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
At the minute in the UK, you turn on the TV, there's two things on. There's the football and there's the election. All right. And, next week there's going to be Wimbledon, but that's crap. So let's just completely discount that. On one side, if you're trying to avoid the politics is horrifically depressing at the minute. You've got the Conservatives, who used to be a centre-right party, who are not a centre-right party anymore. They're too far right for that. And a Labour Party who want to say they're still, in touch with the workers and the socialist roots and all this, that, and the other. But no, they're not. All they've done is just race and take up the positions that the Tories vacated.
I can see that from Croatia.
Yeah, and all the while, the Conservatives have moved ever further right and have only found that actually what's happened is that the people who were still a little bit too far right for them, that they thought they were chasing, have just stayed still a little bit too far right for them.
Yeah.
Which, it's horrific. It's depressing. There's no point about beating around the bush with that. It's not like 2017 or 2019 when it was crap, but it was crap because people were annoyed. No one's annoyed at the minute. They're just, completely disenchanted. And that is the environment in which the Scotland national team come into, and even in the English national team as well. You've got this campaign going on in the background, which from both parties, every day there's something negative going on. It is an advent calendar of fuck-ups, is what we're seeing day in, day out in the election. That's the background to this. So, to me, what's incumbent upon the side, what's incumbent on Scotland, and what's incumbent upon England as well, because Gareth Southgate is guilty pretty much of the same here, is that when you go to Germany to this tournament, you have to do something.
Yeah.
Not sit back. And one of the other things that John Walker mentioned on that podcast was he'd been doing a podcast pre-Hungary game with one of the Hungarian media, and the Hungarian gentleman had said to him, the tactics we're practicing is we're just going to let you touch the ball for 60 minutes, wear yourself out doing nothing because we're not worried about what you do with the ball, and then just hit you on the counter. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So, what impression have we left on Germany? What impression have we left on the tournament? And the impression we've left on the tournament is we've given a lot of money to the bars, and we were the worst team on the pitch. We didn't try to win a game. We didn't try to get forward. We didn't do. I hesitate to say we didn't do ourselves justice, because we got a point, and it was only 1-0, and this wasn't one of the. You can make an argument if you're Steve Clarke that this was one of the glorious failures, because we had injuries, we had issues, but we fought, we ran. John McGinn, put his bum in people, whatever. This wasn't one of those things. This is a point where your only mission, quite aside from trying to get out of the group, was to try and play some football, and they didn't do it. And like I say, I think that's the greatest thing than not getting out of the group, but then not being competitive.
Yeah, it
is just not even making any sort of attempt to be entertaining, to be aggressive, to be offensive, to put on show the sort of football that the hundreds of thousands of fans who traveled over, who spent thousands of pounds to travel over to follow the squad, deserved to see. Because God knows we aren't getting the relief anywhere else. And I appreciate because obviously I can see myself in the screen, and I'm actually kind of looking quite angry for me, which is this is the only time you get fierce, Richard. But I am, and the problem is that Steve Clarke is going to stay on as manager. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Steve Clarke was fantastic at Kilmarnock. Steve Clarke, when he gets his game plan right and sticks to it, he can stifle a team like no other. He is an excellent defensive coach. The problem is, at this tournament, the sides that get rewarded are the sides that attacked. Yeah. And at the World Cup, should we be fortunate enough to get there, in that format where it's 3-team groups, the teams that go through will be the teams that attack. So his whole game plan is pretty much being thrown out the window, because it's very fit for the slog of a qualifying group of having 8, 10, 12 games to be able to get through something. It is not fit for a 3-game sprint. The problem we have is that we don't have anyone else who's better than him. The only real available person is David Moyes. And I know I don't need to say anything about him to you.
No, so you don't need to.
The other problem is it's purely cultural. Obviously from as Croatia, as the entire region as a whole, it's been a hotbed of coaches, but not just a hotbed of coaches, a hotbed of coaching theory as well. And Scotland is a hotbed of coaching theory. The SFA put out one of the best coach, scout, analyst, what you name it, education programs out there. They charge you a lot for it. Don't get me wrong, compared to some of the other FAs. You can get a certificate with the English FA for scouting for free. You have to pay in Scotland, you have to pay in Wales. But what we aren't bringing through in Scotland is coaches who are actually sort of in tune with modern thinking. And when we do have them come through, and I'm talking about guys like Rhys McCabe at Airdrie, guys like Ian Cathro, obviously had his managerial period at Hearts, but is now in sort of assistant positions. There's a couple of others there. When they've been in Scottish football, they tend to get ridiculed, and this cultural necessity to have grit, this thing that we sort of have to have, this sort of granite solidity about us, and have really good defensive abilities before everything else, has pervaded all areas of Scottish coaching. And that is a really big problem, which we cannot sticks. But the worst of it is that I think, in the SFA, people who actually probably think that is our heritage. It is not our heritage. The heritage of Scottish football is the Lisbon Lions attacking the hell out of Catenaccio and killing it in one night. That's the heritage that people remember. That's the romance of the thing. I think ultimately, we do this podcast. We're not getting paid unless you are, and you just haven't been looping me in.
No, God no. I hope so.
But what I mean to say is, we're not doing this for our own benefit. It's nice. It's nice when you get someone from the media saying, "Oh, do you want to do an interview with us for 10 minutes or something?" That's a nice thing to do. It's fun to do, and for my own self development, I would say 10 years ago I'd be too anxious to do anything like that. On Tuesday, I did 14 straight interviews with the BBC, which was a lot, but that's how you challenge yourself. It's how you develop as a person. Sorry to go all high performance for a moment there. But my point is, we're not doing this because we are necessarily experts or anything like that. As you probably have been able to tell in the past few episodes, we're not doing this for any personal gain. We're doing this because ultimately there is a romance to football. And at some point we fell in love with it, and we were very stupid to do that because it is quite cruel. Football is treated sometimes like a science. It is treated sometimes like a bit of a slog, but at its heart, it is, to me, it's an art form. And
it is.
That's why my favorite players aren't necessarily your big hard defenders. They're you Modric's, and even growing up, you can name your players that you really enjoyed. Matt Letizia, yes, he's nuts now, but
he's absolutely.
If you saw his
off the rails, but
if you saw he scored, you knew you had to tune into Match of the Day because you knew it would be an excellent goal, and people appreciate that sort of art, and that's what it is. It's an art form. It's an art form you fall in love with, and what did Scotland provide? Because I have to loop it back around to an actual point here. What did Scotland provide? Scotland didn't provide romance at all. Scotland didn't even provide a drunken snog at 2 a.m. outside a student union disco. They just provided misery.
They were there. Listen, they were there.
We were there. The only person who got any enjoyment out of it was my wife, who sat next to me watching the game. And about 1 minute into the second half, she just turned around to me and said, that you're going to concede in the final minute, don't you? And I just joked to her and I just went, yeah. And do you know what? I bet the fat lad is going to come off the bench and do it. What happens? We nearly kill someone. They bring Martin Adam off the bench. Martin Adam is the best attacker. Somehow we have millions of pounds worth of defensive talent. The Liverpool captain on the pitch, and we can't deal with Nick Frost. He is incredibly classy player. Fair play to him. He plays his part, blocks the shot that starts the attack for the goal, and then we concede in the last minute. And that is her probably having now got me back after 12 years for the time she was out all afternoon, came back the 89th minute of Man City QPR. She's a United fan. God. So I said, come in, you're going to win the title. And then sits down, Dalić Aguero. And she didn't speak to me for a few hours after that.
Yeah.
I'm mature enough now to speak to her. But...
yeah, but if you told me that, I would have had her on the podcast. Obviously, I'm much better than both of us.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my rant. I appreciate it's probably very rambling and it's taken quite a lot of time. And if you have tuned in just for the Croatian football, you could have probably just saved yourself the last 10 minutes of your life. So
yeah.
But I won't talk about it again until the Nations League.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun if the same happens.
Yeah. maybe we draw both times. Croatia plays just their possession football, and you just stand there. You just stand there. You don't do nothing.
Maybe you just call up someone from like the fourth tier. Just bring on like the Croatian Martin Adam. There's bound to be one somewhere. I've watched like the early stages of the cup. I know there are them somewhere.
Oh, they absolutely are. But yeah, I mean, this was long.
Yes. Much as the past couple of weeks have been from our perspective.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these Euros have been fun. Done lots of interviews. Should have done more. Could have done more. My Matura took away 2 interviews after we got knocked out the day after because I had to write the essay from my Croatian class, and I had the BBC invite me to speak about Croatia's downfall essentially, and I had another Netherlands football show invite me just after I wasn't even home, so I was like, yeah, not making it. So yeah, you know, sadly I missed those 2, but it was fun. Kind of.
Yeah, and we bow down to our Slovenian overlords.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Slovenia are. I'm gonna be just Slovenian for the next week. Hopefully more.
Same here.
Hopefully more.
Slovakian until the end of Sunday, and then Slovenian.
Yeah, then Slovenia. Yeah.
Which is very confusing for most people over here who can't tell the difference between the
2. That's always funny when they confuse Slovenia, Slovakia. I saw somebody called Czechia Czechoslovakia.
Yes.
Was it more? Yeah, it was Moyes.
Yeah,
it was Moyes. Yeah, it was Moyes who called Czechia Czechoslovakia.
It's kind of like, is it Bodo Glimt who went and did the scouting in? They've got a Lithuanian side, I think, in the Europa Conference League. They went and did scouting, and they went to.
They went to they went to like the 4th tier.
Yeah,
because they had the same name.
I hope they had a nice day at least.
Yeah, hopefully. I wonder how long it took them to realize they were at the wrong place.
I mean, probably knowing the standard of the stadium, probably quite a while.
Yeah, but Lithuania doesn't like football, so you know you're probably there like, well, you know, they hate football. You know, they're playing in grassroots, so this is to be expected. Why is there a fat lad coming onto the pitch? And the kid.
Wait a minute. Have I gone to watch Hungary?
But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for listening, and thank you for listening to Richard's rant, which was very nice. Was very angry at the start.
Twitter. I'll clip the best bits for Twitter and just put it out.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I don't know what the next episode will be. I think we'll take a break for a few weeks, probably.
I think we need it.
Yeah. I want to go to the beach. I just want to be on the beach every day now. Especially now the Croatia's out, so I'm like, yeah, the only content I post on Twitter now is HNL transfers.
Yeah, well, no, I've got a Tour de France starting tomorrow. That's me sorted for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I also follow F1, so, you know, I want to watch some F1 races in peace.
Yeah, I don't want to watch Wimbledon.
Why do you hate Wimbledon?
I hate tennis.
You hate tennis?
I hate tennis. My wife will say I will watch any sport, but I will not countenance tennis. I don't know. It's just like, it's like basketball in the sense that you just go from like the end of the Croatia-Albania game. I don't know. It's just 2 lads just having stamina and hitting balls at each other.
I mean,
rather than just
you can watch duos, 2 people against 2.
Well, that just lasts longer. There's less of the court to miss them. No,
you get more grunts and moans.
The commentary isn't even fun. It's not like when you watch. I watch cycling.
There's no commentary. There is no commentary during a tennis match. It's only in between the.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't have. You watch the cycling because I have it on in the background, and you just get like a 4-hour podcast. Really. Yeah. It's kind of like putting this on in the background. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Of people just talking about French countryside and having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, really. Same thing for 24 hours of Le Mans. which
Yeah, you
which
don't get
took
that with
longer than
tennis.
24 hours.
Yeah, but you don't get that with tennis. That's one of the reasons I dislike tennis.
I mean, if somebody likes just hearing a tennis ball going off a racket multiple times and hearing grunts and moans in the background, yeah, you can put it on.
Yeah, good for them.
I have a friend who's really into tennis, so hopefully he doesn't listen to this podcast.
I have a few as well, and hopefully I don't care if they listen. They can they can just learn from this. I dislike 3 at the back, and I dislike tennis.
That's the 2 things you absolutely cannot stand.
Yeah,
fair enough. Anyways, so remember, kids, don't show your kids tennis or 3 at the back formations, and have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.